Lately, I've been making custom shirts and clothing for my daughter, and I've been wanting to make a matching shirt that her and I can wear together. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how I do that using iron-on transfer paper that you can print on at home. So you'll be able to customize your shirts at home using an inkjet printer. You'll need transfer paper, iron-on transfer paper. I have a light one that's for light fabric and a dark one for dark fabric. The process is a little bit different. With light transfer paper, this is best for light colored fabric because the transfer paper is basically a transparent film. So that means that anything white will actually come out clear. Now on the other hand, dark transfer paper has a white background, so colors in your artwork will be vibrant no matter how dark your shirt is. So I'll be showing both of those in this video, and then you'll need your shirts. Obviously, I have a white shirt and a blue shirt for my dark transfer paper, and then I'll also be doing a onesie so that me and my daughter will have a matching shirt that we can wear together, as well as a pillowcase to protect the surface that you're going to use, some scissors, and then lastly you will need an iron, and this is what we're going to apply the image to our shirts with. Alright, so let's get started with step number 1. We're going to prep our artwork. So I opened up Adobe Photoshop, and this is the program that I'm going to use, but you can use whatever program you prefer. So I have my artwork here, and it's inspired by that classic butterfly vintage poster with all the butterfly species on it. I found the illustrations of the butterflies on Envato Elements, where they have a ton of great resources for creatives. I will also leave a link in the description. So to get started, the first thing that you want to do is make sure that your artwork is 8.5 by 11 inches. I already did this. You can see the ratio up here at the top, and this is the size of transfer paper. Now this next part is going to be for white transfer paper only. So if you're using dark transfer paper, do not follow this next part or your design will come out looking mirrored. So we're going to need to flip the art or mirror the image so that it prints out flipped. So we're going to click on image, then go down to image rotation, then click on flip canvas horizontal. So that is the most important part of the artwork prep for light transfer paper. If you forget this, then the image on your shirt will appear backwards. For my image, it's not that big of a deal because it's butterflies and it looks good either way. But if you have something like text, writing, or some other type of image, it's probably going to look very strange when it prints out backwards. So make sure that you don't forget that. And then our artwork is ready to go after that. Next, I'm going to do a test print first on regular paper. That is a huge tip I have for you guys. That way you can see if you need to fix anything. You don't want to use transfer paper until you know that everything is how you want it to be. Next, make sure that scale to fit media is selected, and that's going to make sure that the image stays within the margins and fits perfectly within the paper so that nothing gets cut off. So again, make sure that you do a test print first on regular paper, and then once everything is good to go, you can go ahead and print on transfer paper. Now for the artwork prep on the onesie, I'm going to be using the same exact artwork, and this will be on a white onesie using light transfer paper. We're going to hit print and scale the size. The image needs to be smaller because her onesie is much smaller than my shirt. So I did some of the measurements on the onesie and where I want to place the image. So I'm just going to deselect scale to fit media, and I'm going to enter 5.5 inches here in the width because that's the measurement I took. And then I'm going to do another test print since I changed the sizing and just want to make sure that the image fits well on the onesie. Then if everything looks good after that, you can go ahead and print on the transfer paper. Now for the artwork prep on the dark transfer paper, the only difference is that we won't be flipping or mirroring the image, but everything else is the same besides that. So I'm going to go ahead and print that out for the dark transfer paper with all of the same settings. Now moving on to the next step, which is cutting out the artwork. So first I'm going to cut out the light transfer paper, and with the light transfer paper, like I mentioned earlier, you don't have to be a perfectionist when you're cutting out the edges because the white will transfer as clear. Now I've had a lot of people ask me in past videos why I'm even cutting out the image if it's just going to come out clear anyways. There's like this film that still transfers. So to me that looks really strange, and I suggest that you cut it out for a cleaner look. Once everything is cut out, I'm going to prep my table by placing a pillowcase down to protect it. Now the instructions for the transfer paper say to use a hard, heat-resistant surface such as a wooden table. And then next I'm going to spread out my shirt on top of my pillowcase. If your shirt is very wrinkly, you may need to iron it, but mine is pretty good the way it is. Then I'm going to take my artwork that I cut out and I'm going to place them onto my shirt with the image facing down. My image has a lot of smaller images, so I need to space them out and make sure that everything is placed the way I designed the artwork. Then I'm going to take my iron that has been preheated for 5 minutes, and the one thing that you want to make sure is that there's no water in your iron and that the steam setting is off. That's what it says in the instructions. I have no idea what happens if you don't, but I'm just gonna follow the instructions. Then I'm gonna begin ironing, and I'm starting off very slowly, and I'm kind of just placing my iron on top of the artwork for a few seconds so that I don't move the different pieces that I have. Then when everything seems pretty stuck to the shirt, I start to iron back and forth from left to right, up and down. And the instructions give the ironing time according to the image size. So for a full sheet, it says 3 minutes, half sheet, 1.5 minutes, and a fourth of a sheet for 45 seconds. So my image is pretty much a full sheet, so I'm just gonna go with 3 minutes. Then once you're done ironing, let it cool for a few minutes, and then you can take the very edge of the transfer backing and just kind of peel it off. And if it's still hard to peel, that means that the transfer process is not yet complete, so you may need to iron it for a little bit longer. But if it does peel off, that means it's ready. Then I'm just going to repeat the entire process for this white onesie. Okay, so I finished with the light transfer paper. Now I'm going to show you guys what to do if you're using dark transfer paper. So when you're cutting out dark transfer paper, like I mentioned before, you have to be very thorough. Any white around the edges that you don't cut out will transfer onto your shirt, so you have to be very careful. And after cutting out so many butterflies, once I got to the dark transfer paper, I was starting to feel a little bit lazy, so I just decided I was gonna cut out one more butterfly and change up the design for the last shirt and make it different. Once your artwork is cut out, then we're going to place it on the dark shirt. And the main difference between dark transfer paper is that you need to peel off the backing of the transfer paper and then place the image facing up onto the shirt. So with light transfer paper, it was facing down, but with dark transfer paper, you want it facing up. Then once you've placed it where you want it, you're going to use the tissue paper that was included in the packet and cover the design. Then you can start ironing from left to right, top to bottom, and the ironing time is slightly less than the light transfer paper. So for a full sheet, it says 2 minutes, half sheet, 1 minute, and then a fourth of a sheet, 40 seconds. As you can see, the butterfly design is much less than a fourth of a sheet. So I'm just gonna do about 15 to 20 seconds at the most. Then you wanna make sure it cools for a few minutes so that you don't burn yourself. And then you can just peel the tissue paper off and your image should be transferred to the shirt. If your image starts to lift, iron it again and then let it cool before you peel it off. So that completes the tutorial for the light and dark iron-on transfer paper. A lot of you guys have had questions about if you can wash the shirt or how to wash the shirt. So I wanted to give you guys just a quick tip. The big tip that I have for you is to make sure that your shirt is inside out, so that the image is on the inside, and that you're using a gentle cycle with cold water. And that's kind of a catch-all whenever you're trying to be a little bit more careful with your clothing. Then when it comes to drying it, it would be best to hang dry the shirt if that's an option for you. But if you're rushed and you can't do that, you can tumble dry it. Just make sure that your dryer is on the lowest setting and that the image is still on the inside. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's an updated version of my previous custom shirt videos, and I've answered a lot of questions that I've gotten over the past years. If you're still watching this video, I would love to know what you're working on. Are you working on this project for yourself, as a gift? Is this a side hustle that you've started? Let me know in the comments below. And also, if you're not yet subscribed, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. I hope to see you guys on my next video. Stay creating.